think that this video calls for starting off with a prayer to protect me.
O dear divine power, keeper of peace and guardian of all beings, I come before you with humility. Shield me from the Swifties, guard me from their wrath, for in their eyes I have sinned. Protect me from their evil and strengthen me. Amen.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Z Chanel. We have quite the hefty topic to tackle today, and I hope people do not come for me for my opinions. I do want to start by saying thank you all so much for watching my last video. I had no idea that people were actually going to watch it. Of course, I knew that it was a public video, so anyone could watch it, but I did not expect for it to get so many views. And for that, I am very, very grateful, so thank you so much for watching. But now I'm hyper aware that there are a lot of eyes potentially on me and what I say, so I hope that what I say doesn't offend you, but just know, at the start of this video, I am coming forth and telling you I am not a fan of Taylor Swift, and so my opinion will be biased. I have so many thoughts about her new album, and I know that I had talked about covering it in my first video, so that's what we're gonna do today. Alright, so my initial thoughts about Taylor Swift. I believe that she is a greedy billionaire who cosplays as a relatable girl, always playing the victim. I have always felt like Taylor Swift has been a mean girl, and sometimes a pick-me. The first song I ever heard of Taylor's was You Belong With Me, and immediately I remember feeling that the lyrics were very traditionally pick-me in that she compares herself to a cheerleader girl who's with the guy that she likes, and then presents herself as not like other girls, and hopes that one day the guy will realize that he's with the wrong girl and he should break up with her to be with Taylor. Okay, so I realize that's kind of a nitpicky take, especially considering the time. This song came out in 2008, and we all know that times were very, very different. You all probably remember that 2000s movie trope with the mean cheerleader dating the hot jock, and then the nerdy girl who's kind of in the shadows, and the jock realizes that he actually likes her and breaks up with the mean cheerleader to be with the quirky nerdy girl. A movie that comes to mind is A Cinderella Story, another Cinderella Story, the one with Selena Gomez, and then even High School Musical has some of those tropes as well. So this is really nothing new, and I also want to acknowledge that Taylor was 19 when this song was released. So this song is truly harmless when considering the context of the time. Now, why do I think Taylor acts as the perpetual victim? I feel that her lyrics are always about how people have hurt her, and I think what's interesting is that her lyrics don't really reflect on her own actions. Not saying that they really should, I mean, they're songs. It's not that deep sometimes. But it does feel like she's always attacking someone in her songs, which to me feels vapid and shallow. And maybe that opinion is not widely shared, which I could completely understand, but that's my initial impression of her. Now, there has been a lot of discourse about her new album, The Life of a Showgirl, and there has been a lot of criticism about how the lyrics are not as good as they usually are in a lot of her songs. And this criticism is not only coming from her critics, but also from her own fans. One thing that I find really frustrating about Taylor Swift is that, and this is just my opinion, I feel that she defines herself in relation to her relationships, and she sometimes absorbs the personalities of the person that she is dating at the time. And this album feels a lot like an ode to Travis Kelce and a reflection of the people she surrounds herself with, especially after starting to date Travis. Before we get into the album, I do want to talk about the Jezebel stereotype. And the Jezebel stereotype refers to the portrayal of Black women as lascivious by nature. And the words associated with this stereotype are seductive, alluring, worldly, beguiling, tempting, and lewd. Historically, white women have been categorized and portrayed as models of self-respect, self-control, and modesty, and even sexual purity. But black women were often portrayed as innately promiscuous and sometimes even predatory. And this depiction of the black woman is signified by the name Jezebel. Okay, so keep this in mind as we go through the album. I'm not going to go through every song, just the songs that really stood out to me, because going through the whole album would make this video hours long, and y'all probably don't want to hear me talk for that long. The first song that I want to talk about is Eldest Daughter. First off, one of the lines in this song is, "Every joke's just trolling and memes," and I know that this has been talked about online ad nauseum, but babes, what is that? Like, actually, what is that? That's the silliest lyric I've ever heard. And it's funny because I have heard a lot of Swifties claim that Taylor Swift is the Kendrick Lamar of pop music, which, first of all, is a crazy claim because they are not even comparable in their lyricism. Kendrick Lamar, for God's sake, has a Pulitzer Prize, and I don't think that Taylor Swift's lyrics are as profound as Kendrick's. Maybe she does have good imagery, literary references, metaphors, but they are definitely not as profound, not as much of a social commentary as Kendrick's lyrics have always been. And to me, that just feels like a fundamental fact. I get that that's just an opinion, but in my opinion, that is a fact. You can agree or disagree. And you know what? If you find that Taylor Swift's lyrics are really great, that's perfectly fine. Art is extremely subjective. And again, this is just my opinion. In the chorus of Eldest Daughter, Taylor says, "But I am not a bad bitch." And this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna leave you out. So many traitors, smooth operators, but I'm never gonna break that vow. I'm never gonna leave you now. Now, the word savage in this context might be completely innocent, but when you take into account the rest of the songs and lyrics, it's a choice of a word to use. And if you're not familiar, savage is a colonial term used by Europeans to describe the indigenous peoples of the nations that they colonized. And in this sense, it meant that these indigenous people were uncivilized, barbarous, primitive, animal-like, which is obviously extremely offensive and fundamentally untrue. There are some people who claim that it isn't a slur, and maybe that's right in certain contexts. And I know that there have been movements to reclaim that word, making its meaning more neutral or positive. In slang English, it obviously means badass, fierce, bold. Sometimes it can mean unhinged. But there has been a lot of discourse about if it even should be a word that we include in our vocabulary. And I know there are going to be people who say I'm being nitpicky or too sensitive. But again, I do think that in the context of all of the songs in this album, it's definitely a choice word to use. Moving on to Actually Romantic, this song completely just misses the point. Allegedly, this song is in response to Sympathy is a Knife by Charli XCX. And again, let me be completely transparent, I am a huge fan of Charli, and so maybe I feel a little bit personally attacked by this song. But in Sympathy is a Knife, Charli talks about her insecurities, and at one point, Charli and Taylor were both dating members of the band 1975. Charli was dating her now husband, George Daniel, and Taylor was dating the lead singer, Maddie Healy. And Maddie Healy is a whole other can of worms that we're just not going to get into today, but just know, not a huge fan. So in Sympathy is a Knife, one of the lyrics that Charli says is, "Don't want to see her backstage at my boyfriend's show. Fingers crossed behind my back. I hope they break up quick." And on its own, it can seem like an inflammatory remark, but the song is clearly about Charli's insecurities, and she talks about the internal conflict she has about having these feelings, implying that she hates herself for having these opinions toward other women, and also feeling insecure when she compares herself to other women. And during the time that Charli released this album, Taylor also released The Tortured Poets Department, which was her most recent album before The Life of a Showgirl. And Charli's album, Brat, was doing extremely well, and it charted as #1. But then Taylor Swift kept releasing different versions of the Tortured Poets department, which kept usurping Charli's #1 slot. And at the time, everyone who was a fan of Charli was super annoyed with Taylor because they felt that Taylor was purposefully doing this to steal that spot from Charli on the charts and take the lead. And Taylor Swift is not a stranger to capitalizing on multiple versions of her albums. For instance, I think there were at least 37 versions of the Tortured Poets department. And then The Life of a Showgirl has, I think at this point, 34 different versions with 27 physical copies, including CDs, vinyl LPs, and cassettes. People have long been critical of Taylor for doing this, calling her the capitalist queen because she releases so many versions of her albums that her fans obviously spend a lot of money buying to make sure that they have the full collection. Which, yes, you can say that that is the fan's choice, but it also feels like a predatory behavior on Taylor's part, and many people have claimed that she's just exploiting her fans for their money by releasing so many different versions. Okay, back to the song Actually Romantic. In the song, the lyrics are very much targeted and charged, and it's clear that she took sympathy as a knife as a personal attack. The chorus of the song says, "But it's actually sweet, all the time you've spent on me. It's honestly wild, all the effort you've put in. It's actually romantic. I really gotta hand it to you. No man has ever loved me like you do." And again, this just completely misses the point of sympathy is a knife, because the way that most people interpreted the song as was more of a reflection of Charli's insecurities and that internal struggle she faces by comparing herself to other women. And Taylor just played victim and decided that this song was about her and that Charli was obsessed with her. Wishlist is also another song on the new album. This song talks about how other people are so interested and obsessed with flashy items or non-traditional lives, deciding not to have kids, things like that. And maybe it was a commentary on materialism, but it just feels like she's putting other women down just to elevate herself. And if it is a commentary on materialism, it's a little bit tone deaf coming from a billionaire. The first verse says, "They want that yacht life under chopper blades. They want those bright lights and Balenci shades and a fat ass with a baby face. They want it all. They want that complex female character. They want that critical smash palm door and an Oscar on their bathroom floor. They want it all." And then the chorus says, "I just want you, have a couple kids, got the whole block looking like you. We tell the world to leave us the F alone, and they do. Wow. Got me dreaming about a driveway with a basketball hoop, boss up, settle down, got a wish list, I just want you." Now, a lot of people are coming at her saying that this feels like a very tradwife lyric, and I would have to agree. Because also later she says in the second verse, they want that freedom, living off the grid, they want those 3 dogs that they call their kids. And a lot of people felt offended by this lyric because, again, it felt like she was putting down other people who wanted this type of lifestyle and then elevating herself because all she wants is tradwife life. There is also a weird undertone of eugenics with the chorus, "Have a couple kids, got the whole block looking like you." I mean, do I really have to explain that further? And especially in this political climate, read the room, girly. Like, are you saying that you want an entire neighborhood filled with just white people? And even if she didn't mean it like that, that's how it comes off, and of course that pissed off a lot of people. Something else to note is that when the 2024 election was happening, Trump publicly insulted Taylor, and Taylor publicly endorsed Kamala. A lot of the Republicans were coming at her for being a childless cat lady, and so that fact juxtaposed with the lyric in the second verse, they want those 3 dogs that they call their kids. It feels like she's completely abandoning what she claimed to believe just last year. And things that aren't helping her case is that she hangs out with Brittany Mahomes, who is Patrick Mahomes' wife, and who is often referred to as a MAGA Barbie. In fact, when Taylor and Travis got engaged, Charlie Kirk came out and said that Taylor should submit to her husband when they get married. So it feels like she is fulfilling Charlie Kirk's wishes, and I bet Charli is looking up at her with so much pride that she listened. I hate this song so much. I just think it really does embody the white suburban life, but it's also wholly unsurprising coming from Taylor Swift. And to me, it just proves that she is performative. And then this song, in comparison to the song Cancelled, is very strange. Because in Wishlist, she's presenting herself as someone who doesn't want all of the flashy things. She just wants a traditional suburban white woman life. But in Cancelled, she says, I like my friends canceled. I like them cloaked in Gucci and in Scandal. Like, okay, bestie, which one is it? She really is not beating the allegations of being a self-absorbed materialistic billionaire. And I also just think the hypocrisy between the two songs is unbelievably tone-deaf. Some songs that are honorable mentions are Wood, which is basically just an ode to Travis Kelce's. And then my two favorite lyrics, the first one being Girl Bossed, Too Close to the Sun in Cancelled. And they gave her the keys to this city, then they said she didn't do it legitly. In the last song of the album, The Life of a Showgirl. It's just, perfect Pulitzer Prize worthy lyricism. Her fans love to claim that she is stereotypical English teacher, and then Travis is the stereotypical gym teacher. And even in their engagement photo, she refers to them as both of those roles. Which, alright, cool, I guess. More power to them. Okay, so now moving on to probably one of the most damning songs on this album is Opalite. And to me, this song is undeniably racist. If you don't know, Travis Kelce's ex before dating Taylor is Kayla Nicole, who is a black woman. And Kayla Nicole comes with all of her own controversies. Don't get me wrong, I am not defending her, especially for associating with a certain ex of Rihanna. But in the song Opalite, one of the verses says, You couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. You were in it for real, she was on her phone, and you were just a pose. And again, I just don't understand what referring to his ex actually adds to the conversation. Why even reference her at all? I just feel like this is another example of how she puts down other women to elevate herself. And it's just weird behavior. This woman is in her 30s, about to marry the love of her life supposedly, and here she is focusing on his ex. What's the point in that? I don't get it. And then another part of this song that a lot of people are talking about is the chorus, which says, You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite. This lyric just felt really strange, especially in the context of the whole album. Again, maybe independently, if you listen to this, it's not that big a deal. But when you add all of these songs together, it just feels like there is a specific agenda. Onyx is a black stone, and opalite is a white stone. And so it feels like Taylor is saying, oh, you broke up with that black girl, and now you're with a white girl. You saw the light. You made a good choice. I'll be here for you forever. I'm actually a real one. It just feels so unnecessary. Like, why do you have to compare yourself to another woman to make yourself look better? And again, I get how people might think that this is me reaching, but considering the song Wishlist, considering the song Cancelled, and then considering this song, it just feels like too many coincidences for this to not have been intentional. Now, you remember how I mentioned the Jezebel stereotype at the beginning? Well, I feel like Wishlist and Opalite are two songs that really perpetuate this stereotype. In Wishlist, she talks about herself as a person who wants a traditional suburban life, living in a suburban neighborhood with a basketball hoop and some kids, living in a neighborhood where everyone looks like Travis. And this description feels like she's portraying herself as the person with self-respect, self-control, modesty, traditional values, and purity. And in the first verse, she refers to other people wanting a fat ass and then compares herself to that, saying that she doesn't want that. She just wants a simple, traditional life. And to me, it feels that she's shaming people who have that body type. And if we're going into body politics, the black female body has historically been sexualized. For instance, a woman from South Africa named Sarah Baartman, she was kidnapped in the early 19th century and exhibited in Europe for having a large buttocks. And maybe I'm reaching, but it just feels like she is referring to features that are traditionally associated with the black body, and then comparing herself, explaining how she is better than that. And then if we compound this with Opalite, she again is comparing herself to a black woman and presenting herself as better than that person. And to me, it also just can't be a coincidence that she used onyx and opalite as metaphors for both of them, because it just feels too on the nose, knowing that onyx is a black stone and opalite is a white stone. I just feel like there are so many coincidences in this album that maybe independently there is nothing there, but combined with her recent behavior of hanging out with hyper-conservative people, her dating Travis Kelce, who said that having Donald Trump at a game was such an honor, even though Trump had literally insulted Taylor publicly, and then her friendship with Brittany Mahomes, and the weird coded lyrics in her new album, all of it, to me, doesn't seem like it can be a coincidence. To me, it just feels like this whole time she was cosplaying as a liberal feminist, but in reality, she puts down other women and has completely discarded her values that she claimed she had after dating Travis Kelce. Anyway, I don't know, maybe you think I'm reaching, maybe I'm not reaching. I'm curious to hear what you all think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? But right now, that is all that I can stomach with Taylor Swift. I'm really exhausted by her presence in media, and so I think I'll just leave it at that for today. Thank you guys so much for watching and for liking and subscribing. Again, I am so appreciative of how much love you all showed me on my previous video about Ned Fulmer. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are, and I'll see y'all later.
What do you think about Brexit?
What's that? Like,
Where we're leaving the European Union.
I seriously don't have a
So, like,
clue.
it was to leave the EU, so we wouldn't be part of Europe.
EU,
Which
yeah,
would
yeah,
mean like welfare and like things we trade with would be cut down.
So does that mean we won't have any trees?
Cheese?
Trees?
Oh.
No, that's got nothing to do with it, babe. That's weather.